the month of July present itself as the 7th month in the year. It was named after Julius Caesar, like August was named after Augustus Caesar. And it goes on and on. So we're still in the Roman thing, even though we don't realize it. We want to heal up all the Rastafari Aboriginal sisters in them over the years who have held fast over the years to this movement, this expression of defiance and cultural expression. The 23rd of July, 1892, very important day in the annals of African history and the Rastafari movement. So, as we say again, why you love all the Rastafari Aboriginal sisters in them, all of them, all Rastafari Aboriginal who call upon that name, Haile Selassie. We hope that they will continue, because we know that, and it is always repeated, that the stone that the builder refused become the head of the corner. And no matter how it might look now, but trust me, a serious thing, Rastafari. Flowers in the garden, then why should not I praise Haile? So you know where I say no. Why you let the people them not Connecticut? Yes. Why you let all the people them not Connecticut? Why you let all the ones them who turn out to come here when it was again Sunday night? Yes, Sunday night in Connecticut. Hartford, that is. Yeah. So, all right now. So we have two things on the board you have to work with tonight, yeah? And we want to tell you. The first one is, you know, the Zimmerman thing intensifying some whole heap of debates and all them something there. Enough debate are going in America, and it get even more intense when the President Obama came out and make him speech when make already. Obama I sure say, well, you know, once I realize the historical perspective why the people them in America feel so irate, because him know that 30 odd years ago, if him across a street, you would see the car door them lock fast. If you in an elevator, you see the people them white person clinch them purse quick. There's a phobia about black people in America and all white people view black people. Now it's something where America and even Jamaica too. Because when I live out Jamaica seem to don't want to talk about how race affect the quality of life for the majority of black people in Jamaica. Because them want to tell you so out of many one. So when them tell you out of many one now, you're supposed to feel say everything is everything and everything is fair and level across the board. Which really and truly we know everything no level across the board still. You know, see, because really and truly, when you check it, poor people picnic bright and go certain school. Rich people picnic dunce and go to the same school. So, it's a thing. Poor people picnic bright and go to certain school. And rich people picnic dunce and go to the same school. It's no level in Jamaica, because really and truly, the majority of Jamaican people, them ancestors never start out with the same, on the same level, at the same line, like the minority groups. So them sell with this thing about out of many one continuously. And the out of many one really and truly a choke way. Because you know, say the same thing in America. The same matter in America is the same matter in Jamaica, out of many one. Well, if people don't know that. The out of many one was adopted from America. But even where I say now, Obama come out and make certain statement, and we hear the debate them, you know, the people them on the right, very, I mean, some weird reasoning that all black people are regurgitated. Cause we have now, them a talk about, and by the way, last week before last, Stevie Wonder did say now go to Florida again unless them repeal the stand your ground law. Well, right now we hear Madonna, we hear Jay-Z, we hear Beyonce, and many, many more artists echo the same sentiment, say, until they repeal that stand your ground law, them now go back to Florida. Well, Stevie Wonder extended now. Stevie Wonder said not only Florida, but any state will have that law. Him now go back, they go play no music in that state there. So the thing I intensify. But what we really have to know is that this argument now that all people are focused on this one killing so, and black violence is so rampant, especially in Chicago. Because in Chicago, I remember last year, I did it, and in another weekend, there must 30 youth get shot and killed. So they matter about the black and black violence. I say, oh, black people are killing black people, and these people now recognize it. Well, it is really a kind of thing where I don't know who bring it. Yeah, well, I know who bring it up still. It's black and black violence. So I'm going to say, it's black and black violence is something where kind of want to cloud your mind. To make you feel, say, black people are killer black people in America. Because they must say, really and truly, they must say 68% of the crime in America for the population, which is like 13%. The crime rate amongst blacks is more, and black people, the chances of you getting, as a black person, getting killed by a black person in America is much more than a black person getting killed by a white person in America. Mr. I say, I know the America for talk up certain things, but here I know. The majority of white people who dead in America is white people kill them. The majority of white people who dead in America is not black people, it's not Hispanic people, it's not Native American kill them. The majority of white people that get killed in America is white people kill them. And you don't hear nothing about no white and white violence. You don't hear no white and white violence because the media intensify the argument of black and black violence. So when you see something like this now with the Zimmerman thing come up now, you hear people talk about, okay, so why are we focusing on this? Why this thing it's drawing so much attention when black people killing our black people, especially in Chicago, every day. And black violence is intense. And black killing black. Well, for full information, and those people who want to talk about black and black violence, there is something in America, if we want to label it white and white violence. The majority of white people that get killed in America, it's not black people kill them, it's white people. You don't hear nobody talking about white and white violence. Nobody speaks of white and white violence. Black people kill black people. Here is black and black violence. It's become like a T-shirt. it's like a mark, man. It's like a road sign. It's like a billboard. Black and black violence. Oh, blacks killing off blacks. What a terrible thing. We'll be talking about, you know, the Trayvon Martin being killed. Why they don't concentrate on the almost blacks being killed in Chicago and all these things. America, it's like when they talk about the World Series. The World Series is only America in the World Series. No other nation is in the World Series. Arrogance gone beyond arrogance. When you have a match, a competition in your country, and you call it the World Series, when no other country involved in it. When you have a thing named World War, when it's white people are kill white people. Russia, Germany, France, Belgium, Poland, England, millions of white people kill millions of white people in Europe. over the centuries. For centuries, for centuries. White people have been killing white people. The majority of white people who get murdered in America is white people kill them. So we're back to the Trayvon Martin thing where we are say the people them have a right to get upset and them legitimately upset because of the history of racism in America. Racism in America has increased since Obama become president. It's not me I say that. That is them report. When Obama first get elected, in first 4 years, racism, I mean, you talk about not talk about racist speech. We are talking about racist attack. And it's not black people that attack white people. It's white people attack black people. Racism skyrocketed in the first 4 years of Obama presidency. So I don't understand these people. Something happen and you start to focus on that something and they want to divert your attention from it. For come tell you say, yeah, but we're not talk about that, but we're trying to kill one another in Chicago. How much black youth you see a turn gun in a school? And I kill. Watch your man. Check all of the gun shooting in a school and all in the places them where you hear people get shot by dozens. If it's black people that do it, it's white people killing white people. It's simple that. White people is killing white people in America. You know, you hear them label it white on white violence. You hear them call. When black people kill black people, it become a thing, say, oh, savage. Them don't want to address the root cause of the problem. Why is it that so much crime is happening in the black communities where black people is more likely to be shot by a black person, in Chicago especially, and where white people is scared of black people? If a black person, if you want, it happened to me too. You think Uncle Obama it happened to? It happened to all me too. I'm in live in America. I go to an elevator already, and the white woman I go in an elevator, she does ease back and make me want to go in the elevator. I'm in a hotel. You know what time in a hotel room, and I come out of my room for going in an elevator. A white woman are going in the elevator and them just wait. Them just wait and make me go in the elevator. And them vex too, because sometimes you're in the elevator, you know, and then press the button, but before the door closes, you just run and just catch the door and walk go in there. Oh gosh, man, at the wickedest thing. I don't know how much musician experience I think they know, but I know me experience the wickedest thing where the elevator door are closed. Especially when a white woman in the elevator, and you just catch the elevator door for going at the elevator with her. Especially when the hotel them are like all a holiday in one of them big Sheraton hotel where some high rise 30 story up at the elevator there. She nervous till she reach on the ground floor, man. It's like if she could have just, I mean, it's like a sigh of relief when she reach on the ground floor and realize, boy, right now she have her purse, she have her this, she have her that, she have her life. So we know that there's a excessive amount of what them would want to call black people getting scared of black people, especially in our black communities. And the likelihood of a black person getting shot in a black community is most by a black person because it's a black community. If the black person move into the white community, the likelihood of the black person getting shot by a white person jump up sky high because they know if he is not like a basketball player who them see a face on TV every day, or an artist who them see a face on TV every day, and you live in a certain area, trust me, believe you me, man, white people is killing off white people every day in America. And you don't hear nothing about no white on white violence. The majority of people who dead, the majority of people who get murdered, not people, the majority of white people who get murdered in America is murdered by white people. It's not black people kill most white people in America. It's just simple that. It's not black people killing half white people in America. So when they talk about black on black violence, they must address the white on white violence. If they are so civilized and have so much opportunities, them so civilized and have opportunities, and they are part of the system, why is it that they are killing off one another? Why are they killing off one another? So we'll go back to this thing I know about this Obama and his speech. I bet you know we know very well. Very, very well. May I tell you so we know him very well. Every time we see him say, oh, so when you take me to Jamaica? You know what I'm saying? He will walk over Jamaica. I say, when you take him to Jamaica? If he's a big professor, big doctor, big black advocate, civil rights advocate, Cornel West. Cornel West do an interview on democracy now. I want to play this. We want to play this interview here. You know? We want to play this interview here because I find it really interesting because maybe that is the lie. After listening to Obama, and you hear Obama come from, for the first time, he might come from a black perspective. Really and truly, the first time I hear Obama talk now, they come from a black perspective. But yet still, given that he is the president of America and given where he do over the almost 8 years where he did it, I don't really give him no thumbs up, really. So I want you to listen to what Cornel West say in this interview here about the speech where him get. So I don't even want to play the speech because by now, most one must have heard the speech, I heard about the speech, and here say, boy, him really give a good account to himself. Well, Mr. West don't, Mr. West don't think that. Mr. West don't think that. You understand? All right, we can play this advertisement and come back to this. This is the cutting edge at IRFM. African has just called one on my cell and one on the IRFM phone, and him say, Muta, what you should have do is play Obama's speech that you allude to, because maybe a lot of us didn't get the privilege of hearing it, and then play Cornel West's reasoning. So I really have to say that is a good suggestion. So I want to play what Obama said. For those of us who didn't hear it, he was talking to the Zimmerman Trayvon Martin incident, and so now we're going to play Obama.
There's a lot of pain around what happened here. I think it's important to recognize that the African American community is looking at this issue through a set of experiences and a history that doesn't go away. There are very few African American men in this country who haven't had the experience of being followed when they were shopping in a department store. That includes me. There are very, very few African American men who haven't had the experience of walking across the street and hearing the locks click on the doors of cars. That happens to me, at least before I was a senator. There are very few African Americans who haven't had the experience of getting on an elevator and a woman clutching her purse nervously and holding her breath until she had a chance to get off. That happens often. And I don't want to exaggerate this, but those sets of experiences inform how the African American community interprets what happened one night in Florida. And it's inescapable for people to bring those experiences to bear. The African American community is also knowledgeable that there is a history of racial disparities in the application of our criminal laws. Everything from the death penalty to enforcement of our drug laws. And that ends up having an impact in terms of how people interpret the case. Now, this isn't to say that the African American community is naive about the fact that African American young men are disproportionately involved in the criminal justice system, that they're disproportionately both victims and perpetrators of violence. It's not to make excuses for that fact, although black folks do interpret the reasons for that in a historical context. They understand that some of the violence that takes place in poor black neighborhoods around the country is born out of a very violent past in this country. And that the poverty and dysfunction that we see in those communities can be traced to a very difficult history. And so the fact that sometimes that's unacknowledged adds to the frustration. And the fact that a lot of African American boys are painted with a broad brush, and the excuse is given, well, there are these statistics out there that show that African American boys are more violent. Using that as an excuse to then see sons treated differently causes pain. I think the African American community is also not naive in understanding that statistically, somebody like Trayvon Martin was probably statistically more likely to be shot by a peer than he was by somebody else. So folks understand the challenges that exist for African American boys. But they get frustrated, I think, if they feel that there's no context for it. And that context is being denied. And that all contributes, I think, to a sense that if a white male teen was involved in the same kind of scenario, that from top to bottom, both the outcome and the aftermath might have been different.
That was President Barack Obama making his first public remark.
REFM, thought-provoking, always smoking, lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Mutabaruka.
We are the slave descendants from the African race. The African race. The African race. We are the slave descendants from the African race. Could drink and be merry, so they could drink and be merry.
Yes, so we're going to come forward to that song. So now you hear what Obama said. We want to play now Cornel West's interview that he gave to Democracy Now! About Obama and about what Obama said. So here goes. Okay, cut. Start over. I don't know why it's not part of this thing. All right, we can set it up. I set it up.
Have a little faith. Michael Franti and Spearhead. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. In the aftermath of the Zimmerman verdict and the mass protests around the country, we turn right now to Dr. Cornel West, professor at Union Theological Seminary, author of numerous books, co-host of the radio show Smiley and West with Tavis Smiley. Together, they wrote the book The Rich and the Rest of Us, a Poverty Manifesto, among Cornel West's other books. Professor Cornel West, President Obama surprised not only the press room at the White House, but the nation, I think, on Friday in his first public remarks following the George Zimmerman acquittal. What are your thoughts?
Well, first thing, I think we have to acknowledge that President Obama has very little moral authority at this point, because we know anybody who tries to rationalize the killing of innocent people is a criminal. George Zimmerman is a criminal, but President Obama is a global George Zimmerman because he tries to rationalize the killing of innocent children, 221 so far, in the name of self-defense. So that there's actually parallels here in Pakistan, Somalia, Yemen. So when he comes to talk about the killing of an innocent person, you say, well, wait a minute, what kind of moral authority are you bringing? You've got $2 million bounty on Sister Asada Shakur. She's innocent, but you are pressing that intensely. Will you press for the justice of Trayvon Martin in the same way you press for the prosecution of Brother Bradley Manning and Brother Edward Snowden? So you begin to see the hypocrisy. Then he tells stories about racial profiling. They're moving, sentimental stories, what Brother Kendall Thomas called racial moralism, very sentimental. But then Ray Kelly, major candidate for Department of Homeland Security, he's the poster child of racial profiling. You know, Brother Carl Dix and any of us went to jail under Ray Kelly. Why? Because he racially profiled millions of young black and brown brothers. So on the one hand, you get these stories.
Ray Kelly, the former police chief of New York City.
That's right. And yet you get these bringing into his circle.
The current one.
And in fact, he even says Ray Kelly expresses his values. Ray Kelly is a magnificent police commissioner. How are you going to say that when the brothers reinforce and stop and frisk? So the contradictions become so overwhelming here.
But President Obama, speaking about his own life experience, going from saying Trayvon Martin could have been my child to Trayvon Martin could have been me.
Oh, no, that's beautiful. That's an identification. The question is, will that identification hide and conceal the fact there's a criminal justice system in place that has nearly destroyed 2 generations of very precious, poor, black and brown brothers? He hasn't said a mumbling word until now. 5 years in office and can't say a word about a new Jim Crow. And at the same time, I think we have to recognize that he has been able to hide and conceal that criminalizing of the black poor as what I call the re-niggerizing of the black professional class. So you've got these black leaders on the Obama plantation, won't say a criminal word about the master in the big house, will only try to tame the field folk so that they're not critical of the master in the big house. That's why I think even Brother Sharpton is going to be in trouble. Why? Because he has unleashed, and I agree with him, the rage, and the rage is always on the road to self-determination, but the rage is going to hit up against a stone wall. Why? Because Obama and Holder, will they come through at the federal level for Trayvon Martin? We hope so. Don't hold your breath. And when they don't, they're going to have to somehow contain that rage. And in containing that rage, there's going to be many people saying, no, we see this president is not serious about decriminalizing of poor people. We've got a black leadership that is deferential to Obama, that is subservient to Obama, and that's what niggerizing is. You keep folks so scared, you keep folks so intimidated. You can give money, assets, but they're still scared, and as long as you're scared, you're on the plantation.
Let's talk about that issue of the civil rights charges. During his remarks on Friday in the White House press room, President Obama addressed the calls for the Justice Department to file civil rights charges against George Zimmerman.
I know that Eric Holder is reviewing what happened down there, but I think it's important for people to have some clear expectations here. Traditionally, these are issues of state and local government, the criminal code. And law enforcement is traditionally done at the state and local levels, not at the federal levels.
That's President Obama.
And that's not true. That was him saying, keep your expectations low, Sharpton, don't get them too fired up, keep the rage contained. We know when it comes to history versus legacy of white supremacy in America, that the federal government did not move, we would still be locked into states' rights. And states' rights is always a code word for controlling, subjugating black folk. That's the history of the black struggle, you see. So what he was saying was, don't expect federal action. Well, Sharpton's going to be in trouble. Mark Mario, two brothers, they're going to be in trouble.
Urban League.
The Urban League, absolutely. Ben Jealous, God bless the brother. He's going to be in trouble. He's getting folk riled up to hit up against this stone wall. The next thing they'll be talking about, well, maybe we ought to shift to gun control. No, we're talking about legacy of the white supremacy. We're talking about a criminal justice system that is criminal when it comes to mistreating poor people across the board, black and brown especially. And let us tell the truth and get off this Obama plantation and say, you know what? We're dealing with criminality in high places, criminality in these low places, and let's expose the hypocrisy, expose the mendacity, and be true to the legacy of Martin. You know there's going to be a march in August, right? And the irony is,
this is the march of the honoring the 50th anniversary.
You know what the irony is, Sister
I Have a
Amy?
Dream speak.
Brother Martin would not be invited to the very march in his name, because he would talk about drones, he'd talk about Wall Street criminality, he would talk about working class being pushed to the margins as profits went up for corporate executives and their compensation. He would talk about the legacies of white supremacy. Do you think anybody at that march would talk about drones and the drone president? Would you think anybody at that march would talk about the connection to Wall Street? They all on the plantation.
Are you invited?
Oh, can you imagine? Good God, no. I mean, I pray for them because I'm for liberal reform, but liberal reform is too narrow, too truncated, and of course the two-party system is dying, and therefore it doesn't have the capacity to speak to these kinds of issues. So no, not at all.
So you're saying that President Obama should not only say, I could have been Trayvon Martin, but I could have been, for example, Abdurrahman Al-Awlaki, the 16-year-old son of Anwar Al-Awlaki, who was killed in a drone strike.
Well, the nameless 221 others, precious children, who are as precious as the white brothers and sisters in Newtown that he cried tears for. Those in Indian reservations, those in Chinatown, Koreatown, those in brown barrios, each child's precious. That is a moral absolute, it seems to me, we ought to embrace. And if that's true, then we've got monstrous mendacity, hyper-hypocrisy, and pervasive criminality in high places. That's why Brother Snowden and Brother Manning are the John Browns of our day, and the Glenn Greenwalds and the Chris Hedges and Glenn Fords and Bruce Dixons and Margaret Kimberleys and Nellie Baileys, all the William Lloyd Garrisons of our day when we talk about the national security state.
Clearly, the power of the personal representation is what grabbed people on Friday. You also had Attorney General Eric Holder doing the same thing when he was speaking at the NAACP convention on Tuesday. Holder drew parallels between his own experiences as an African-American male and those of Trayvon Martin when he recalled times in his life when he was racially profiled.
The news of Trayvon Martin's death last year and the discussions that have taken place since then reminded me of my father's words so many years ago. And they brought me back to a number of experiences that I had as a young man when I was pulled over twice and my car searched on the New Jersey Turnpike when I'm sure I wasn't speeding, or when I was stopped by a police officer while simply running to catch a movie at night in Georgetown in Washington, D.C. I was, at the time of that last incident, a federal prosecutor. So, Trayvon's death last spring caused me to sit down to have a conversation with my own 15-year-old son, like my dad did with me. This was a father-son tradition I hoped would not need to be handed down. But as a father who loves his son and who is more knowing in the ways of the world, I had to do this to protect my boy. I am his father, and it is my responsibility not to burden him with the baggage of eras long gone, but to make him aware of the world that he must still confront. This is a sad reality in a nation that is changing for the better in so many ways.
That's U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder. They're the ones in the Justice Department who are deciding whether or not to bring civil rights violations, criminal charges against George Zimmerman, who was acquitted in the Trayvon Martin killing, Professor Cornel West.
And no, there's no doubt that the vicious legacy of white supremacy affects the black upper classes. It affects black middle classes. But those kinds of stories hide and conceal just how ugly and intensely vicious it is for black poor, brown poor. And so you end up with, if that's the case, why hasn't the new Jim Crow been a priority in the Obama administration? Why has not the new Jim Crow been a priority for Eric Holden? If what they're saying is something they feel deeply, if what they're saying is that they themselves and their children have the same status as Brother Jamal and Sister Letitia and Brother Ray Ray and Sister Jarrell, then why has that not been a center part of what they do to ensure there's fairness and justice? Well, the reason is political. Well, we don't identify with black folk because the black president can't get too close to black folk because Fox News, with their reactionary self and often in so many instances, will attack them, and that becomes a point of reference. No. If they're going to be part of the legacy of Martin King, Fannie Lou Hammond, Ella Baker, and the others, then the truth and justice is something you pursue. You don't care who is coming at you. But no, this black liberal class has proven itself to be too morally bankrupt, too hypocritical, and indifferent to criminality. Wall Street criminality, no serious talk about enforcement of torturers and wiretappers under the Bush administration. Why? Because they don't want the subsequent administration to take them to jail. Any reference to the hunger strike of our brothers out in California and other places dealing with torture, sustained solitary confinement is a form of torture. And we won't even talk about Guantanamo. Force-feeding, torture in its core. Didn't our dear brother Yasin Ben point that out? The former Mos Def? God bless that brother. Jay-Z got something to learn from Mos Def. Both of them lyrical geniuses, but Jay-Z got a whole lot to learn from Mos Def.
Explain that Yasin Bey actually underwent force feeding to see how it felt and broke down and started screaming, "Stop, stop," in the middle of it. And it was a videotape that went
twice
viral.
a day for those precious brothers in Guantanamo Bay. And of course, that's under Bush. People say that's under Bush. Okay, Bush was the capture and torture president. Now we got the targeted killing president, the drone president. That's not progress. That's not part of the legacy of Martin King. That's not part of the legacy of especially somebody like a Dorothy Day and others who I think ought to be at the center of what we're all about, you see.
Let me turn to another clip. Near the end of his speech on Friday, President Obama said the nation should be doing a better job helping young African American men feel that they're a fuller part of society. I want to play that clip in a moment, but how would you do this?
Well, when I heard that, I said to myself, Lord,
That clip in a moment, but how would you do this?
Well, when I heard that, I said to myself, Lord, he came to New York City and said Michael Bloomberg was a terrific mayor. Well, this is the same mayor who, again, nearly 4.5 million folk have been stopped and frisked. What's terrific about that if you're concerned about black boys being part of society? No, I would say we're going to have to talk seriously about massive employment programs, high-quality public education, not the privatizing of education, dealing with gentrification and the land grab that's been taking place, ensuring that young black boys, and I want to include all poor boys, but I'll begin on the chocolate side of town, there's no doubt about that, that ought to have access to a sense of self-respect and self-determination, not just through education and jobs, but through the unleashing of their imagination. More arts programs in the educational system. They've been eliminated. Those are the kind of things hardly ever talked about. But, we can talk about trans partnerships in terms of global training for capital and multinational corporations and big banks. That's been the priority, the Wall Street friendly and the corporate friendly policies that I think are deeply upsetting for somebody like myself, vis-a-vis the Obama administration.
This is what President Obama said Friday.
We need to spend some time in thinking about how do we bolster and reinforce our African American boys. And this is something that Michelle and I talk a lot about. There are a lot of kids out there who need help, who are getting a lot of negative reinforcement. And is there more that we can do to give them a sense that their country cares about them and values them and is willing to invest in them? I'm not naive about the prospects of some brand new federal program. I'm not sure that that's what we're talking about here. But I do recognize that as president, I've got some convening power. And there are a lot of good programs that are being done across the country on this front. And for us to be able to gather together business leaders and local elected officials and clergy and celebrities and athletes and figure out how are we doing a better job helping young African-American men feel that they're a full part of this society and that they've got pathways and avenues to succeed. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty good outcome from what was obviously a tragic situation. And we're going to spend some time working on that.
Cornel West.
Yeah, you see, if you're concerned about poor black brothers, then you make it a priority. It's the first time he spoke publicly about this in 5 years, so it's clear it's not a priority. When we went down to Morehouse, it was more scolding, no excuses. Went to NAACP before, quit whining. No, we're wailing, we're not whining. So to say to the country, well, we need to talk about caring, well, you've got to be able to enact that, you see. And for those of us who spend a lot of time in prisons, those of us at boys' clubs, all the magnificent work that various churches and civic institutions do in the black community, and it cuts across race, of course. You got a lot of white brothers, sisters, and brown, and others who are there as well. The question is, since when has it been a priority in this administration at all? So that language begins to ring very, very hollow. Because he's right. We've got to love, we got to care for our poor brothers and sisters, and especially our black and brown brothers and sisters, because they're lost, they're confused, they're desperate, they're unemployed, they're too uneducated, and they turn on each other. Because when you criminalize poor people and criminalize poor black people, we turn on each other. There's no doubt about that. Can you imagine if the creativity and intelligence that goes into turning on each other is turned on the system, not in the individual, but the system itself, the unfair system, and tries to undercut the criminality of our criminal justice system to make it fair and to make it just.
You mentioned stop and frisk under Ray Kelly, who is being considered for head of Department of Homeland Security, and under Mayor Bloomberg. 700,000 stops and frisks in New York City. It's now on trial in court, vastly, overwhelmingly of young African-American, mainly young men, some young women. The vast majority do not get arrested, but they have these endless encounters with the authorities.
And I'll just never forget Brother Carl Dix and others. Right when we had a week-long trial and had a guilty verdict. During that week,
when you were protesting, and you got arrested.
After we protested and went to jail and then went to court and had guilty verdict. Right. That week, the president came to New York and said, Edward Koch was one of the great mayors in the last 50 years, and then said Michael Bloomberg was a terrific mayor. Now, this is the same person saying we got to care for black boys, and black boys are being intimidated, harassed, humiliated, 1,800 a day. It's just not a matter of pretty words, Mr. President. You got to follow through in action. You see, you can't use the words to hide and conceal your mendacity, hypocrisy, and the support of criminality, or enactment of criminality when it comes to drones, you see. And the sad thing is, Sister Amy, is that we just don't have enough free people, let alone free black people. Black people, we settle for so little, so we get a little symbolic gesture, we get a little identification, and like in MSNBC, which is part of the Obama plantation, they start breakdancing again. Oh, it is so wonderful. He's really one of us. We can now wave the flag again. We can now support our mindless Americanism, in the language of my dear brother Maulana Karenga, tower intellectual that he is. No. We ought to be over against injustice no matter what across the board, and be vigilant about it. I don't care what color the president or the governor or the mayor is.
Let's talk about Stand Your Ground for a minute. You know, Stevie Wonder now says he won't play in any state that has Stand Your Ground. President Obama addressed the issue of the Stand Your Ground law in Florida, the law allowing people fearing for their lives to use deadly force without retreating from a confrontation.
I know that there's been commentary about the fact that the Stand Your Ground laws in Florida were not used as a defense in the case. On the other hand, if we're sending a message as a society in our communities that someone who is armed potentially has the right to use those firearms, even if there's a way for them to exit from a situation, is that really going to be contributing to the kind of peace and security and order that we'd like to see? And for those who resist that idea that we should think about something like these stand your ground laws, I just ask people to consider, if Trayvon Martin was of age and armed, could he have stood his ground on that sidewalk? And do we actually think that he would have been justified in shooting Mr. Zimmerman, who had followed him in a car, because he felt threatened? And if the answer to that question is at least ambiguous, then it seems to me that we might want to examine those kinds of laws.
That's President Obama speaking on Friday, Cornel West.
Well, I certainly agree with him that we ought to fight stand your ground laws, but we got to keep in mind stand your ground laws are part of the legacy of the slave patrol, which is to say it's primarily white brothers and sisters armed to keep black people under control. And I come from Sacramento, California. I remember the Black Panther Party walked into the Capitol with their guns. Now, you notice at that moment, all of a sudden, people were very much for gun control, even the right wing. Why? Because the Panthers were saying, well, let's just arm all the black folk to make sure they stand their ground. Oh, Lord. That's such a challenge. Now, see, you know, as a Christian and trying to be part of Legacy of Martin, you see, I don't want people armed across the board. I do believe in self-defense, just like I believe in self-respect and self-determination. But I don't want people armed. So it's very clear there's a class and a racial bias in these laws, and therefore we ought to fight these laws. There's no doubt about it. But we have to be very honest and candid about the hypocrisy operating when we talk about these things.
It was rather chilling to hear both Robert Zimmerman, George Zimmerman's brother, and also Mark O'Mara, the attorney for George Zimmerman, talking about how the fact that George Zimmerman's supposed to get his gun back, that he needs it more than ever because he's targeted, because he's afraid. What is more frightening than a frightened George Zimmerman with a gun?
No, it's true, but when you let criminals off, they feel as if their criminality has been affirmed, and therefore they want to be able to continue to act as if the business is as usual. Back to business as usual.
Cornel, as we wrap up this segment, I'd like you to stay for the next segment about Howard Zinn's books in Indiana. If you were invited to speak at the 50th anniversary celebration of the I Have a Dream speech, the March on Washington, August 28, 1963 is when it happened, 50 years ago, what would you say? Give us a few minutes.
I would say we must never tame Martin Luther King Jr. or Fannie Lou Hamer or Ella Baker or Stokely Carmichael. They were unbossed. They were unbought. That Martin was talking about a beloved community, which meant that it subverts any plantation. Bush's plantation, Clinton's plantation, Obama's plantation, and the social forces behind those plantations would have to do with Wall Street, have to do with multinational corporations, and we're going to focus on poor people. We're going to focus on working people across the board. We're going to talk about the connection between drones, which is a form of crimes against humanity outside of national borders. We're going to talk about Wall Street criminality. We're going to talk about how we ensure that our gay and lesbian brothers and sisters have their dignity affirmed. We're going to talk about the children. Martin Luther King Jr. was a free black man. He was a Jesus-loving free black man. Will the connection between drones, new Jim Crow, prison industrial complex, attacks on the working class, escalating profits at the top be talked about and brought together during that march? I don't hold my breath, but Brother Martin's spirit would want somebody to push it. And that's part of his connection to Malcolm X. That's part of his connection to so many of the great freedom fighters that go all the way back to the first slave who stepped on these decrepit shores.
Cornell West. Professor Cornell West now teaches at Union Theological Seminary.
R.E.F.M. Thought-provoking, always smoking. Lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Mutabaruka.
Yes, you have been listening to an interview done by Cornel West by Democracy Now! His answer to Obama's speech about the Trayvon Martin Zimmerman thing that is going on in America today, and the man make some serious point there. Yes, very, very touching. Last year, these attack on schools where a guy just run going to school and fire shot and kill all the people in America seem to be a thing we're going in America regular. And the last one that took place, we see the president and come out and I said, why, terrible. And my argument was that, can you imagine now, can we look on Obama, even little tears come out of my eye too. My argument was, and it's them time I sorry say I don't live in America. Well, I don't even sorry say I don't live in America still, but at the same time that Obama was shedding tears for these young people who got shut up in the school, Obama was killing little Afghan children with the drone strike. You hear the man mention the drones them. And every day, little Afghan children and their mothers are killed by these drone strikes that is ordered by the President of America. And the question is asked, if the life of an Afghan child, if it do have no significance, is not the same life of a white American child, where the white American child in America is killed by a white youth. The brown-skinned Afghan youth in Afghanistan is killed by a foreign force who claim that them bringing peace and goodwill to a country. Yet still every day, children are slaughtered in Afghanistan and Pakistan with these unmanned drones that is ordered by the President of America. So, we don't know. The saga continue until a next youth is murdered by a next person who is not black. And then the case will come up again and again and again and again. And America seems not to want to admit or accept that racism still exists with all the things, the this and the that and the liberalism where they try to show you. Racism, big in America. Big. And if you look on our situation in Jamaica, it's one of them situations where most wonder why you talk about them things on radio. People cringe if them hear all Andrea Williams in the morning or me in the evening or so. I talk about Africans and where Europeans do and where Europeans are do and where Europeans not do. You ever notice the you start talking about reparation for black people? You hear them say, so why I'm to where black people sell out black people too. It's like, wow. Because black people always bring up these things, You talk about reparation and you say, all right, yes, England get built up off of black blood. Liverpool, all them places, London, You know, you talk about all France. You know, you talk about big shipping line and companies that still exist where through slavery them build up themselves. And you say, all right, reparation. You're a guy, a little nigger in the back of the road. Yeah, so what happened to the reparation that black people supposed to give black people because we sell out one another? And you say, wow, you know, this is it. This is it. So, as we are saying, this saga continue. This is the cutting edge on IRFM. We're there with you.
I love JN Money Transfer. I love that they just get it.
We're there with you a little later too, you know, yes. 2 to 5:45. Stepping razor, the art of war. Okay. Baruka. Whites, 85% of white people, and I'm going to give me statistics, you know, I'm saying 85% of white people who's killed in America is killed by white people. And some of those, I'm listening to them quick. 85% of white people who's killed in America is killed by white people. So that is something to ponder. When them say black on black violence. Okay. Because I don't want to say we're naive to certain things, because we are quite and totally aware of the violence that take place, especially in Chicago, because we always have to mention Chicago, you know, where it's like a big crime thing going on up there. You know, I don't know why, but I guess nobody's figuring out why. Them just want to label it. You understand? But yes, the man say 85% of white people who get killed in America is killed by white people. All right. Yeah. Hello? Blessed?
Blessed, greetings.
Isis.
Isis.
Who is Masani?
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
Yeah, right. Well, you come to Jamaica. Every time you turn on, you're at Jamaica. Oh, weird. Are you own the airline, man? Them have a seat in there, them just put on that seat there for you personally.
Yes, I have a special seat on the plane for me called Masani.
You come to Jamaica regular Rasta, believe you me. All right, we know.
The works.
The works.
You know?
Yeah. All right, we know. Say you have a thing going on in a Kenya. How long now you do this Rasta Fest thing?
All right, so Rasta Fest, as the name Rasta Fest was since '93, but before that, we're doing things before that, and lead up to Rasta Fest. Okay. So we never, if you notice on the flyer, you're not going to see the 10th anniversary, the 20th anniversary, the 30th. You're not going to see none of that. What I tell people is that the Rasta Fest come out of a long history of Rasta events from the 70s, from 1977. Right? But because we did first international Rasta conference in '82. Yeah, and out of that was the second international Rasta conference in Jamaica. Yeah. Right? And all those events we've been doing through the years, Rasta events.
You take part of the Rasta conference next month? You were there next month to take part
I won't be here, unfortunately, only because of Rasta Fest.
Oh, but you know about it? You know about it? Yes. You know about it?
Yeah, I know, of course, I know about it. I get information and everything, but I mean, too close to the conference, the Rasta Fest in Toronto.
Okay. So when is the Rasta Fest in Toronto? When is the Rasta Fest in Toronto?
It's August 24th. And it's Downsview Park. Right? August 24th. So it's too close to a treat for me. I'm leaving out on Friday, so for me to be here for the conference, it went too hard, yes. And I forget, get everything in order and everything. So, but this year looking good. This year looking good still.
All right. All right. So tell me some of the features where you have this year thing.
All right. So this year we have a special. Before the festival itself, we have something called Tween Fest. The week before that, so we have a children and youth festival. Because what we find is that sometimes when we have these big events, we tend to lose the children and youth. So we have a small event called Twin Fest. It's August 15th at the library, Yorkwood's Public Library. So we have children from 4-year-old to 18 years old performing, and it's hosted by children and youth,
Okay.
And then, so that's really the beginning of the festival. And we also have a Rasmus visual art exhibition for 1 month at the library, Yorkwood's Public Library.
Okay.
So those are familiar with that. It's in Jane and Finch community.
Yeah.
And then the following week now is a big festival. It's August 24th. And then the daytime from 1 to 5, we have a children talent show, youth talent show, drumming workshop, dub poetry workshop, all these kind of workshops happen in the daytime. Music play by Sturga from Toronto, and Ruben's son and all that. Then from 5 onwards, we have the big part of it, the big show. And the headliner this year is Queen Africa. I've always said I wanted a female headliner because every year through the years we always have, male headliners and stuff. And last year was Mighty Diamond. So we decided we want a female headliner. So this year is Queen Africa.
Okay.
Right? And so we have her as a headliner, but there's Everton, Blend and Screwdriver as our 3 major international acts. And then we have the Toronto artists. And to the Toronto artists, again, we saw the best artists in the city. Like Janet Scott, Prince Everall, Tasha T.
Most Jamaicans don't really know them artists. They still.
They don't know. They don't know them, But you know what, though? People listen to your show online. So when I'm talking to you, maybe somebody in Toronto listening to Rastafest and listen to your show.
Yeah.
And we get web stream Rastafest, from 1 to 10, Rastafest.com.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're really encouraging. We're pushing them on the web streaming part of it because, again, we get a lot of calls and emails from all over the world concerning Rastafest. So even though it's a Toronto festival, we always think of the world. Rastafest to the world.
All right, so you say it's which date now? The date is the 24th, you say?
August 24th, Donsview Park.
Okay.
Donsview Park, August 24th. And the festival has grown. Muta, you have been there before several years ago. The festival has grown tremendously now in terms of numbers. And if people ask, Rastafest, why Rastafest? Well, Rastafest, in a different aspect of the culture. Because we have ITAL, food, tasting, ITAL food demonstration. We have, reasoning, drumming. We have reach out to the various houses. We have Rasta fashion show and all that.
How much date is?
It's how much day? Well, it's one big day, August 24th. Okay, one big day from 1 in the morning to 10 in the night.
Holy, but things are going in a one day, so.
Yeah, man. It's a one full day from day to night and so forth, man. But then, as I said before, the week before, we had the Children and Youth Festival. So that's Rastafest, and so, but we have other things happening too, in the daytime too, in other activities, as I said before, the visual art exhibition is a part of it, and the reason and so forth. We line ourselves with the library. So the Toronto Public Library now, they bring out books. So one can come to the festival and borrow a book at Rasta. Because when you come to events called Rastafest, and you want to know more about the culture, you can actually borrow a book from the library there and then, and go with a book to read.
And get some information.
And get some information, yes. And get some information.
All right, well, give thanks to say still I go through with it. Them where there's long time.
Long time and longer time still, yes.
So I will give thanks to know, so well, obviously I get the funding from the city.
Well, I want to tell you something, and I've started big up the vendors then because every time people, and Rastafest is free every year. This is the first time like a $5 donation, $5 Canadian donation, but that's always been free. And funding wise, it's not like we get a lot of money, I don't want you to think we'll get a whole lot of money.
No, I think nothing. What's that? I think nothing, right? Because I say, if you put it on so much time, free, you must have been getting funding. Me not say you get whole heap of funding.
Well, you know what? We get, what keep us going, I would say. We get a few dollars. And I have to say that I have to big up Western Union. This year's Western Union Victoria Mutual. Building Society, and Canadian Heritage. Canadian Heritage is a federal government. We've been sponsored for the last 7 years.
Okay.
And Western Union has come on board for the last 6 years. Western Union from Toronto, but of course Jamaica link, of course, right?
Yeah.
So yes, so we get those support, but I think the biggest support we get is for the vendors. The vendors come out and help us, because we rent spots and everything.
Yeah,
so we were looking marketplace.
That is always a good thing. The vendors, them help to prop up the money. Yeah.
Yes, and after all, it's big them up, because without those vendors, I could tell you right now, we could never continue the festival at to the stage where it's been free for so long. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right.
Yes,
Give thanks
to the vendors. Yeah.
Give thanks. As we are saying, you said the 24th.
August 24th.
Canada.
Toronto, Donview Park.
All right.
Rastafest.com.
Yeah, man.
And log on to it, because we're doing a live web stream.
Yeah.
So one can stay in Jamaica and watch what's going on in Toronto.
All right, give thanks, Masani.
Yeah, man, give thanks.
Right, go on, yeah. Click.
Lord, this back to school season have me away. Me stress out bad.
People them, so we'll go back at West Street this weekend. Wide Street, we don't because you know. We go down there as a testing, we just go down West Street, go play music, on Sunday, but now it come like it's a regular thing when we're there. We never there last week still. I mean, Sunday gone, but as sure as fate, we go back down that Sunday. Because we realize that the people that really want to play. And we really, yes, in the heart of the city there. So, it's a free thing, It's a free thing, so you don't have to worry. It's a free thing, and we up on top of our 3-story building, so it's not like a road thing. You understand? You have to walk a couple stairs well to reach up at the top, the open air and things. So, yeah, man. We're down there again this Sunday. I want to tell you, Bob Clark down there tomorrow. I remember take over down there. Bob Clark will play down there tomorrow. Them call the place Forever Young. Yes, Forever Young. So, Bob Clark down there tomorrow. And we down there Sunday again. Wonderful. Yeah, man, open air vibes and all them way there, upstairs there. Yeah, you blaze the music. Trust me, I'll police up there dance more time. I'll police a dance more time. Why you people from over Till Valley? Because you can't stay from over Till Valley and hear the music. You can't stay down at the beach, down at Digital building there, so I hear the music. So, yeah, man, we down there this Sunday again. And you know what thing, an early thing, Yes, early thing we work with. We don't work with 5 o'clock in the morning thing. Okay, so we'll come back again to this studio. Kingston named the Kushites, and me I tell you, are the sweetest restaurant in Kingston. Trust me. Serious, and a Rasta own it. As some knows a Rasta there on the move. A Rasta own the restaurant on Phoenix Avenue, so we love it. Yeah, 9 to 11 Phoenix Avenue. Well, they must start every Friday thing named, last Friday every month. Soul food. Different kind of music, eclectic kind of music, off the wall music, not the regular day-to-day music, not the Billboard Top 100 music, just eclectic music. So we're going to start a thing down there every last Friday every month. And we want say, boy, trust me, if there is your one set up vegetarian food in some very serious way, yeah, the brethren Kush. We want yellow Kush, yes. Kush, you're going with your cuisine. So them call it soul food. And poetry, music, and good food. You know what? Nothing else in the heart of Kingston there. Uptown vibes. Yes, nice setting. Water run. This, that. Yes, everything natural. When we mean not evil, trust me, no, nothing, everything. We love it. So, why you love Kush? And we are telling you this happen. And the first one is this Friday, and we're going to play the music, as we are saying. So, yeah, man, enough things. This is the cutting edge. We want to play our next tape. The next tape we're going to play, it's called The Lion of Judah. As we are saying, we are celebrating Haile Selassie Earth Day today. 12 o'clock, not gone yet, but it no matter at 12 o'clock gone. We still celebrate. The time is 10 to 12. I still say, you know why I tell the story? Because a whole lot of people feel say a whole lot of things what Rasta say are true. Rasta smoke enough ganja and they uneducated, them fool, them don't know really what they must say. Not recognizing that a lot of the basis for Rastafari belief and thinking come from Ethiopian history. Yes, Ethiopian history. And also the Jewish Bible, where people call the Old Testament. But most of all, a lot of it come from experiencing a cultural perspective and a cultural manifestation that was created because of this movement, because of saying Rastafari. A group of people come up with an idea and a philosophy that go beyond the Western imagination or Western logics. So, Haile Selassie is the center of this. I read with a little sister the other night and she said, me ask her if she's a Rasta. She said, yeah, me's a Rasta. So I say, oh, me know say he's a Rasta. She said, look how me dress. So she get up and said, me saw your dress, you have a long dress. I said, so true you have a long dress, he's a Rasta. She said, no. So me say, the reason turn to the locks now and as usual, bald people who want to feel to them a Rasta now start to quote Morgan heritage. You do have to dread to be a Rasta. So, it's a kind of one of the biggest cop out me hear people have, you know, one of the biggest cop out. You do have to dread to be a Rasta. So, in an intensive reasoning with her now, she end up admit that she's really not a Rasta. She just love the culture. Some say, yeah, well, most people love Rasta culture, you know, but if you start about Haile Selassie to them now, it's there, so you know the separation there. Because them go as far as say them is Rasta until you start mentioning Haile Selassie. And that's how you realize, oh, well, you're not really Rasta then. And them are try to impress upon you now, say, yeah, you can't still be Rasta without Haile Selassie part of it. And that is madness. That is like say the Pope is not Roman Catholic. That is like a Christian that say him not believe in Jesus Christ. So really and truly now, after tin finding, tin true, we get to understand, so well, really the culture, the thing that go grab all heap of people. And the culture come through the Rastafari experience in this farmer slave plantation island known as Jamaica. You understand? But when we hear the articulation now, that is the thing now, where a whole heap of people actually never hear a historical reference outside of the Jamaican context that define the reason why Rasta say what them say. Or when we hear the name Haile Selassie, King of Kings, conquering Lion of Judah, a whole heap of one don't even stop to figure out what them things they mean. We talk about non-Rastas now. And even some Rasta too. Because you have a Rasta out there don't even know nothing about nothing. Him just say Rastafari and I smoke ganja and I say, yeah, you know, Rasta, Jah, Rastafari and all them things and Bun Babylon and all them stuff there. But there is an articulation that people need to know because big guys start to know it and big guys realize about this thing here is not a stupid, fool, ignorant thing like most people want to believe. It really have a certain validity. It have a certain validity about it that need to be examined. The problem with the Jamaican society now is that Rasta have to answer to too much foolishness from people who believe, say, appear foolishness Rasta deal with. So there's no respect for the Rasta view, especially amongst the normal Jamaican person who is thoroughly educated. Because them come to you with some little argument that, so tell me something, Rasta. You do this, Rasta. Rasta, me not see one on the import the other day, you know, something like some ridicule thing. Some very, you know, it's like them attack you like you not have no sense. And sometimes you're better off than them too, you know. But because of you saying Rastafari or them identify you as Rasta, them are going like say you don't really have no sense, so them can come to you anyway. You know, all them approach is like, so tell me something. So Rasta, Selassie not dead. Oh, you tell her talk about Selassie dead. And then them have the argument figure. So tell me something. Selassie a God? He make you? I mean, some really, and like them now take no talk from you, know, because you know, if you tell them, say, all right, make a reason about something. Them say, move fire with your foolishness. No, them no approach, no, if a Christian, if a non-Christian approach a Christian in a Jamaica and want to know about Christianity, them don't come with a ridiculing idea or a ridicule, or them don't ridicule the Christian. Nobody who is not a Christian ridicule Christians when they want to know about Christianity. It is only Rasta in a Jamaica that is ridiculed. If somebody want to know about Rasta, I mean, most them never want to know about Rasta. Them just want to ridicule Rasta. So them come to Rasta with some little ridiculous reasoning or fool, like say you not have no sense. That you look on them and say, but wait, what did them idiot people here, Rasta? What them take you for? Kuno muno. And it go on like that. For years, Rasta go through that. Years, Rasta go through them something there. A woman tell her son, and this I kid you not, and this is true. Uptown middle class woman, tell her son, say, should I prefer be oh gosh, I didn't go for say it. I didn't say it, all right, because use the word that they want me to use for the radio. This woman tell her son, say, should I prefer be a homosexual than go turn Rasta? You hear me say? This is not lying and not telling no lies, show. Should I prefer him go turn a homosexual than go turn Rasta? So you have a set of Jamaican people, both uptown and ghetto people, who don't view Rasta as something intelligent. It's like there's no intelligence in it. You can't be intelligent and say that. Foolishness. Yet still, them would identify with it. Them go to a concert, you see them with a flag in them hand. When the concert done, them throw with the flag. Them go to a salon, sister locks. Some of them will take a little whiff of ganja. Them will go buy a little giant of ganja and smoke it. Or if them do a session, a little dance, and them say a dread with a split. Them say, dread, you have any more of that? And the dread give them the split, them take a little whiff, and them thing there. So, the cultural aspect of it is what them hold on to, and to the point where them will tell you, say, me a Rasta, you know, because you know, if you dread for be a Rasta, me have me locks in my heart. Ah, gosh, man, really. Them you that them wouldn't like know what them do when them sing that song there. It's better them to say, not because you locks, you's a Rasta. Maybe that would be a better argument. Not because you locks, you's a Rasta. But for to tell people, say you don't have to dread to be Rasta. It's like you open up some Pandora box. If you're ridiculing, go on with somebody, you definitely know to them a Rasta. Them say, there you don't know to me a Rasta. And them come up to your feet, there you know to me a Rasta. And then you say, hey. And you start talking about Haile Selassie now. Them say, no, something ain't that. Selassie can't be my God. And you say, but you're going to know claim to use Rasta and you exempt Haile Selassie out of the whole thing. Because that is the, the nucleus, that is the center of the whole thing. I mean, I make no pronouncement for nobody. I say non-apologetically. If Haile Selassie is not the center of that thing that you claim, he is not Rasta. It's just simple that. I not tell you that you smoke cigarette, you're not Rasta. I not tell you that you do this or that you're not Rasta. I tell you, say, if you're not, say Haile Selassie, he is not a Rasta. I just saw it go. And as I said, that is like the Pope. I said, him is not Catholic. Can you imagine the Pope? I said, well, I'm a 7-day. Can you imagine the Pope? I said, he's Jehovah's Witness. Can you imagine the Pope? I said, him is Buddhist. That would be something else, don't it? So when we talk about like the philosophy of Rastafari as it relates to the cultural expression, as it relates to the divinity of the claims given by Rasta towards the whole idea and concept of Rastafari, it's very important that one get an explanation that when them say Rasta, them not really go on like say appear idiot. The whole of we are idiot. So we want to explain something. We're going to play a tape. Oh gosh, 12 o'clock gone. We're going to play a tape and then we're going to explain a connection about a story that allow Rasta to say what them say in relationship to Haile Selassie, given that this is Haile Selassie Earth Day yesterday. Well, day before yesterday now, because 12 o'clock gone. It's 2 minutes past 12. This is the Cutting Edge on RFM.
Brothers and sisters, this is Chalice. Join us with respect for our national anthem. Let us stand and defend this one. Peace and love. Thank you. Eternal Father, bless our land. Guide us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Do our life through countless hours. To our leaders, great defenders, grant true wisdom from above. Justice. Truth. Be ours forever. Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, land we
You are listening to Mutabaruka.
when I was a youth, we sing that tune, yeah. Give me back the shilling with the lion pan it. The lion pan it. And your culture sing that tune that too. About want the shilling with the lion pan it. The problem with that you know, is that there's a kind of culture vulture thing happening with that song there, where the shilling is really a British money. How the hell a lion get pan a British money when the lion not there at England? And if you look on even King Richard, the lion-hearted, I don't know much I know about a king there, but King Richard, the lion-hearted, how King Richard become a lion-hearted person when a lion are there in England? And then you hear a next king name, the conquering lion of Judah. And when you're looking at him yard, where him live, lion in there like how you have your dog, them run up and down in your yard. Think about it. Because King Richard never have no lion. But him named the lion-hearted. King Richard the lion-hearted. Haile Selassie named the conquering lion of Judah. When you go to Haile Selassie Palace, whole heap of lion are run up and down. Them all trained, and this is not no joke, because we don't deal with illusion. Because you have somebody who deal with some Rasta illusion that we can't work with, but I tell you about no illusion, you know. Because just like how you train your dog, them train the lion them to come in front of his majesty and bow in front of his majesty. The lion them bow in front of his majesty, them train that way there. Yeah, man. His majesty lion them are some serious lion. So I explained to you about the conquering lion of Judah. Emperor from way over in Ethiopia have a Jewish title. Only people don't know that. It have no consequence and significance to most Jamaican people who are ridicule Rasta. And it's a very serious thing. How did an Ethiopian emperor have a title from a Jewish tradition? Can you hear him say the conquering lion of Judah? Because more people believe, say, when we say Rastafari, we come up with them name there. When we say the conquering lion of Judah and King of Kings, we come up with them foolishness there. Them don't know, say, it is embedded in a serious historical perspective where necessary and important to understand before you start to say some ganja smoking idiot. How did an Ethiopian emperor come with a name that is distinctly Jewish? Judah, from one of the 12 tribes of Israel. How did he get that title? It's a very important question. And in answering the question, you will see, or if you hear the answer, you will see how Rastafari develop a certain train of thought in relationship to this man and the throne of Ethiopia and the history of Ethiopia. You will understand how Rasta develop these kind of thinking. Meanwhile, back in England, with the lion, pan the shilling, and the lion, not there England. This is the cutting edge, and I refer